So, welcome to Disrupt Mandla, where we profile young disruptors in business, civic leadership, and the arts. My name is Nzuzo, and I'm your host. With me today, we've got Linda Mahloko. Now, he's the ex-head of operations of Taxify in South Africa. We're going to profile him and his journey from McKinsey Co to Taxify and beyond. Linda, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How you doing?
I'm good, man.
Good.
Yeah, nice to finally get down and we chat.
Yeah, it's been busy. We've been missing each other, but I'm glad I could finally come through.
Yeah. So, Linda, tell me about your background. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
I was born in the Springs area.
Okay.
And then basically spent most of my life growing up in Johannesburg. In the south of Johannesburg. And then so went to primary school in the primary school on the south, and then moved to Randburg, where I did the grade 6 and 7. And then we went to Swaziland for a bit. My dad was in the oil industry at the time. Moved us to Swaziland for 4 years. I did some high school there. I started high school in Swaziland at a school called Waterford Mhlaba.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'm from Swaziland.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah, so I went to primary school at Mhlambanyatsi Primary School.
Okay.
Usutu Forest, which is in Mhlambanyatsi. Yes.
Yeah.
And then I did my first year of high school at Waterford Mhlaba.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the 4th year in Swaziland. We then moved back to Johannesburg, which I've basically lived in since my whole life, and went to Hyde Park High School.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was, I guess, my...
Wait, so you know guys like Jonathan Corns?
I remember Jonathan Corns, yes, of course. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the world is quite small.
Yeah,
You come to realize,
Yeah. Okay. So now, in terms of the moving up and down, like how did that shape your sort of your trajectory later in life? Did it have any impact? Experiencing different cultures and stuff.
It definitely did. I think growing up as a kid, I was what you would classically refer to as a geek, right? And and many people, I'm sure, that have come to know me in the journey of my life can attest as to how that has sort of broken down, right? So I was the classic. I was into computers and what was it at the time? TV game. Very antisocial and not, go to school, do your marks. I never really did much sport. Only did it when I was forced to do it. And then I'd get back home and do the usual classic geek stuff. But I think, once I moved to Swaziland, there were a few things. For example, I used to walk to school. Like my primary school was literally like 100 meters away. Okay. Whereas when I got to Swaziland, I used to stay in Mbabane, and Mhlambanyatsi was quite far. So I was supposed to be part of a lift club, right? So you've got about 13 kids in this like taxi that goes up and down every single day for the next like 3 years of your life. And I think those kind of interactions then open you up to starting to know people, like people, be interested in different forms of people. In Swaziland, here I was with my broken Zulu trying to speak Swati, which is it has its nuances and differences, and So I think this up and down in traveling has really helped me become more of a people person, which I found is actually quite a big strength of mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And in terms of now the impact it had on your future, was there any impact that had on your future now that you we're not going to talk about your current project because you said you obviously can't talk about it.
Yeah.
But in terms of Taxify, did it have any impact on that?
Of course. Growing up in this closed space and not knowing much of what's going on around the world actually does not help you become relatable. By the time I got to Taxify, we'll talk about the experiences that I went through, but by the time I got to Taxify, it's a very difficult business in that, I'm from a classic strategy background, a formal education kind of background, and, when you start, you got to start lean. It's very difficult to work with the most educated people or the most people who've been to at least a tertiary institution. So every day in the office, for example, the people who are behind the scenes, there are very few who are of the same level of education as I am or similar, right? So it's about empowering those people and learning and sort of upskilling them without having a tertiary education to be just as good at the job.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then more importantly, the drivers. I mean, speaking to the drivers is one of the most humbling experiences that you go through, because they are from all walks of life. You know, there's a lot of immigrants that are working on Taxify today.
Yeah.
There's a lot of South African locals who have all got different sort of views on what they perceive service to be today. And, you know, you hear the multiple complaints of what's going on, and that, like, you know, some of these drivers are not, they don't ask you what radio station you want, you know, windows closed, windows up. These are things that they're not used to. They're like, hey, you're in my car, I'm taking you from A to B. And for me, as long as I've done that, I'm a 5-star driver. Right.
Yeah.
So it's just learning to interact and be on the ground and be with these guys, taking off the suits that I used to wear my whole career, and just being in there in a simple t-shirt, sitting down, having a really cool conversation with, like, hey, what do you expect from us? How do we make your experience better as a driver? How do we help you and empower you to make money off this business?
Wow.
So I think that was great, and I think that's what I've enjoyed about the startup world. In that, like, it's not as intimidating. I mean, I remember when I got my first job and you're meeting like crazy big directors with their big expensive suits, it sort of makes it more difficult for you to be yourself in that kind of environment. And I think at Taxify, for example, it was great. I mean, I could be myself. They did not know who the hell I was, what I did. And again, I'm meeting this new driver. I don't know what he's doing. You could be doing this part-time, could be full-time, but it was just great to interact on that kind of level where it's not about who we are, it's about how do we help each other make this business successful.
Wow. So now let's go now into the early stages of your career. Maybe let's go into your education. What did you study?
Sure. So after high school, I think around grade 11 and 12, like many people who had maybe some sort of commercial kind of view on their career, you were encouraged to be a chartered accountant. I think Psycha and the likes and the networks around are so good at capturing kids at this early stage, giving you sweets, pens, and all these paid internships, right, to become a chartered accountant. So naturally, that's what I wanted to become. I wanted to become a chartered accountant. I went to UCT. I studied a Bachelor of Business Science in Finance and Accounting. And then by the time I got to final year, I realized that maybe this is not the best thing for me. I think through those 4 years, you would know, like, the kind of people we met and interacted with in university were just incredible from all walks of life. And my once again narrow view was then broken down very quickly, in that there's actually a lot more you can do with your degree than just become a chartered accountant. I mean, you've committed, you've done the work to do the accounting throughout the years, but have you thought about finance? Have you thought about, and I think two big things changed my view of then not going the CA route, which was I became a tutor in finance. So I tutored finance in 3rd and 4th year. And then I was the head tutor for IT and business. A lot of people at UCT will remember that as a very annoying course, but for me, it's done wonders for me. So it was basically where we used Excel and pastel accounting together at some point. They were all mixed together just to solve certain business cases, build basic spreadsheets and all of that. Anyway, through all of that, meeting the different kind of students that I was tutoring and what they were doing, like beyond varsity life, sort of then made me realize that, okay, I don't think I want to be an accountant anymore. I then more started to lean towards investment banking. And I ran multiple finance workshops before students' final year finance exams. Started to know people in the industry. And then, by the time I graduated, through one of my students, a young lady called Georgie, her dad, she managed to get me an interview with her dad, who works at Citi Bank. I went to my first interview at Citi Bank. I mean, I flew out so quickly as soon as I landed it. Went there, did the interview, the various tests that they do, and all of that. And now I had a job at Citi as an investment banking analyst in corporate finance. So that's actually where my career began. And that I think was at the beginning of 2013. So that was the start. Again, the usual classic stuff about a banking career, right? You got to have a really great personality, do the hours, and you go through a lot. It's a very rough career, as many you would tell you. And I enjoyed it for the first few months, but then again, I quickly came to learn about the politics of a corporate environment. And in banking, there's this very strong, like, hey, you guys are beginners, and I don't think your input counts as much. We already know how to do the deal.
How did that affect you specifically in terms of your outlook and whether you are going to stay in corporate or not?
It made me feel small, to be honest with you. I understand I was there to learn, and I was always keen to learn. But I mean, I always thought I had some really good input. I mean, there's certain things that you can learn, and I don't think you need to have 20 years experience to be able to give a good opinion on it. And this was sort of the culture that I got. And as I started to speak to a lot of my friends at the different banks, right, this was a similar theme. And I was like, wow, this is really bad. Anyway, throughout this journey, I then met, I think I was in the UK for a bit, and then a friend of mine suggested that, like, I told him I've been in banking for about 6 months now, and it's not what I thought it would be, right? I mean, things like the pay and all of that was pretty much comfortable for somebody starting a career out of university, and I think that sort of, made things better. But I mean, there was this like really bad culture where amongst us we'd think leaving the office at 11, 12, 1 a.m. every day was like this really cool thing. I mean, I think in the beginning, because now you think I'm doing so much work that I'm leaving the office at this time. And it's such a bad mentality, and nobody should be forced to work that way. Because half the time, a lot of these deals and pitches that you were doing were never even considered, right? So I quickly became discouraged. And I met a friend of mine, and he suggested, what do you think about consulting? And I was like, I know a few people who have gone through the route, and aren't the interviews really difficult? There's all these thoughts that you think about, don't most people with MBAs go and do consulting? Like, will I be good enough? And you hear all sorts of things. But anyway, I then got in touch with an ex-UCT person. She's an UCT alumni, a lady called Rachel. She used to be at McKinsey at the time. Managed to have some coffee with her, and she essentially, in that hour that we were together, sold me the concept of consulting. And and I mean, you would know consulting is like super general, right? I mean, all walks of life enter that field, and
so long as it's about excellence.
Exactly. So they pursue excellence and strong leadership culture and teamwork and all of that. A lot of aspects that I liked. So long story short, I interviewed with McKinsey over like the next month or so while I was still at Citi, and thank God I got in. And I would say McKinsey has been the most sort of it has changed my career like I would have never ever thought. Simply because, one, the people are incredible and are doing amazing, incredible things around the world. There's such strong leaders that are coming out of that environment. I mean, not McKinsey specifically, but I think in consulting you are challenged to think differently just because of the vast different industries that you work in, right? So although my real passion was IT, and this is what I sort of want to steer my career into, right? Like, I had let go of the whole finance dream, and I was like, you know what? Growing up, I used to enjoy IT. I never studied computer science, which then obviously put me off the path. But I think McKinsey gave me the platform to do it. So I did a lot of projects in the sort of IT and related fields at McKinsey. So big telecoms companies and divisions that had an IT focus. So maybe it could be a mining company, but they wanted to be very operationally excellent in terms of how their systems work, that kind of thing. And I spent just over 2 years at McKinsey, and it was incredible. I traveled the world. I think I visited 8 different countries while I was there. Different cultures.
Dream job.
It was my first time, actually, my second time overseas on one of the projects when I was there. And again, learning to adjust and work in a different environment. It's crazy. And I was challenged in ways I couldn't believe. It was just such an incredible journey. Extremely challenging as well. But I will never ever forget my time there. And then I think towards the end of my time at McKinsey, I started then steering myself towards the startup world and IT and all of that. And
so this love is not something that just popped out of nowhere.
It didn't just pop up. It was incubated. It was always there.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, people will always know. Like if you ask them about Linda, classically, like growing up, he was the computers guy.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of people were shocked when they're like, "Why are you doing the CA thing?" Right.
Yeah.
And I thought it was the right thing to do at that time.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was dormant for a bit. And then, you know, I did the CA thing, went to finance. I was like, no, I'm not liking any of this.
Yeah.
And I think McKinsey really, and they challenged me at McKinsey. What do you really want to do, right?
Yeah.
And why? That's when my love came back. And you know, I was like, I'm gonna steer off the path, and I'm gonna pursue. I've got hardly any knowledge of programming, but I'm gonna learn. I don't know much about the startup world, but I'm gonna learn. And and through that time, towards the end of my time at McKinsey, I was more transitioning into being an associate. And then during that whole phase, a friend of mine did an internship at Uber, which is obviously the ride-hailing giant that is prevalent in the market today.
Yeah.
And they said to me, hey, they're looking for someone who's passionate about IT, comes from a consulting background, to come and lead driver operations in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, okay, so I'm going to be working with drivers. That doesn't sound so exciting. But she said to me, no, have the chat.
Yeah.
So anyway, on a weekend, I had a chat with one of the guys who works at Uber, and showed me around the office, and I actually got a feel of what actually happens at the business, which is something that many people cannot even predict. Like, it's the craziest thing. I mean, you open up the Uber app and you request A to B, but I'm telling you, everything that happens behind the scenes is absolutely incredible.
Sure.
It's an extremely challenging thing to make sure that their drivers at the right time, at the right place, giving the best service, safe, everything that comes with that industry. And I quickly got excited and I quickly signed, and I found myself at Uber. And I think now people have now known me, to be fair, as in industry, as being this guy who's been in ride hailing for quite a while. And I think that has become sort of my main expertise these days. And obviously because my work at McKinsey was very general and not so focused. But since then, this is what I've come to know a lot about. Also just having worked with so many of the big ride hailers, or those that have tried. My time at Uber was fantastic. Learned a lot about how ride hailing works. Got to meet the drivers, understand what they want, what riders want. And it was great, right? And I had some friction with management, right?
Why? What happened?
As time went on. So, I mean, the culture was a little bit different, right? So, I mean, I come from...
Before you carry on, sorry, what I notice about companies, and the reason why I say this is because even in my own experience, I notice it's the culture that usually will be a make or break for you to continue in that job or move to the next place.
Exactly.
So, explain.
So, I mean, culture is big. I mean, it's what kept me... I mean, people know me to be jumping jobs, right? But it's actually what kept me at McKinsey and Taxify for so long. And by so long, I mean just over 2 years. That is very long for me. So, it's... The culture is so key. I mean, what I mean by that, it's the people, the management, the HR, how do all these systems work in order to help your career grow, right? And I think McKinsey did that very well. They had like pretty much systems that were set that like, this is how you progress through the firm. This is what we're about. This is how we help you achieve your goal. And I thought that was fantastic. And they helped me do that, right? Whereas Uber was more of a startup at the time. So I joined Uber in 2015, and back then, I mean, that's about 3 years ago, right? It wasn't such an established business in South Africa. So, you know, I worked in a small team. I was leading driver support and all of that, and bringing in new drivers for Johannesburg and Pretoria. And then maybe there was one other manager, and then a head. So in this particular driver ops thing. And I think because of that, it became very difficult, because they were more of I don't know what to call it. They were like a clique, and I found it very difficult to fit in because I had come and post what they felt was the hustle. Because I mean, starting up Uber is definitely difficult. I can imagine because I did the same with Taxify. So I think just having coming afterwards, found it very difficult to gel with the team and whatever. But I was really good at what I was doing in my specific area. That's what I enjoyed about Uber. Anyway, because of that, I then ended up leaving Uber, and it was, I have the highest respect for what they're doing there and the systems and the talent that is there. Absolutely incredible. And then around that time when I was then, I then started spending a lot of time at incubators. So I went to Innovation Hub. I was in Cape Town. I spent a lot of time, and then I was like, man, there's so much to do, right? And during that time when I was helping out with all these startups is when Taxify approached me. So they're like, hey, we see you no longer Uber. Are you willing to give this a shot again? I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. It depends. I mean, who are you guys? What's up? What are you doing? I had a 4-hour Skype chat with the CEO. Crazy.
Wow.
At the time, this guy was 21.
Wow.
Right? 21 years old. I'm sitting there in my lounge.
Younger than you.
Younger than me. Yeah, way younger than me. 21-year-old. I'm sitting in my lounge. We're on a Skype call. It's a Friday night now. If anybody knows me on a Friday night, the one place you will not find me is at home. So it's a Friday night, and here I am. We had scheduled 30 minutes for the call. It took 4 hours. We were on a call with this guy for 4 hours.
He just clicked.
And it was, at first I was like, Taxify, I've never heard of this. Even at my time at Uber, we knew about potential threats to competition. We've never heard of you guys. Tell me more. And everybody thinks starting an e-hailing company is the easiest thing. People ask me all the time, no, why don't you start your own? Right? And it's like, no, this is difficult. Right? Operationally, I think where my strength is operationally executing, I'm great. But I mean, there's the engineers. You got to have a strong team to build the product and a strong vision to grow that product.
Capital intensive.
You've got to have a very strong CEO who understands all these things, the ops, the product. It's a very difficult business and very complicated. I spoke to Marcus at the time. His name is Marcus Filler, and he was very, very, very structured in how he was going to do this. He was like, this is what we need to do, we think, in Africa, and we think you could be that guy to help us get us there. And I was like, okay, tell me more. Like, what do you think about this? And we went back and forth discussing all these kind of things that were needed to make this thing work. And after 4 hours, he then sent me a contract the next day.
Wow.
And I then started working with Taxify. This was early June 2016.
Wow.
Is it? Yeah, somewhere there. April, May, June 2016, somewhere there. And this was crazy. So I was employee number 2. Right?
Wow.
A lot of people think I was employee number 1. But there's this really cool guy called Clinton. He was employee number 1. He essentially was hunting drivers. That was his job. Just go out there and get drivers to say, hey, there's this app called Taxify. It's coming to South Africa, and it's going to be great.
So now tell me something. I'm very interested because I'm seeing a trend in your story, and the trend in your story is that a lot of in fact, every single opportunity you've come across has been through networking.
Of course. I failed to mention.
One.
You're right. You're correct. Every single opportunity through networking. I'm telling you, it's funny. I don't think I've ever had to submit a CV ever since I've worked at McKinsey. McKinsey was the last time I actually emailed somebody a CV and got the job. Every single job since then has been via referral, via network, or maybe being found on LinkedIn is another one. I guess that's how Taxify found me. But I mean, even then, they never asked me. They never asked, okay, what did you study? It was none of that. It was just more just on network and which even today, man, it's just so powerful. Even the project I'm currently working on, network. It's how it is, and
it's relationship.
And to be honest, I learned that. I learned that when I was at UCT. It's actually where I realized how important it is to build relationships and actually keep them going. And some people may feel that since you know so many people, you don't have those deep, long-lasting relationships. But it depends on the personality type that you are. I mean, I'm an extreme extrovert.
Yeah.
I don't mind meeting people, catching up with them randomly over lunch.
Yeah.
You may not invite me to your wedding, but that's cool. I'll see you around and we'll still catch up.
Yeah.
I still have my very close network of friends, which are my high school friends, and I've kept in touch with them throughout the years, and we still are all together today.
Yeah.
But I enjoy meeting new people, right? And yeah, so...
Cause I see, like, even when you're at UCT, you got that job by referral from someone's daughter you knew. You got the interview, and then
exactly.
etc.
Exactly.
Sure, that is hectic. So now another thing which I'm trying to figure out is you were heavy into IT.
Yeah.
Now, from my perspective, I'm a creative. And the way I'm wired, I can't do something unless I'm passionate about it. If I'm doing it and I'm not passionate about it, it's because every day I'm charging myself up to do that thing, and it's difficult for me to
Makes
do
sense.
it.
Yeah.
How did you go into finance and accounting, having been so interested in tech and IT and that industry, but choosing to go into finance and accounting and being like, okay, this is the path I'm going to choose, and I'm going to go ahead and finish this?
Yeah.
How did you go about that without being driven by some sort of passion?
To be honest with you, I wasn't driven. Right? First year was easy. And we all got good marks and whatever. But as time went on and where your passion was tested, that's when it really became challenging for me. And the reason I couldn't switch. I couldn't have it in me to say, let me go do computer science. I felt that like I was gonna fall behind, but that's what I should have done. Like in retrospect, I know, you know what, I have no regrets, but I mean, I would think at the time I was like, okay, accounting, I don't know. We hadn't done finance yet in our first year, so I think then I gave it, let me do second year, let's see what happens in second year. So second year is when we did our first finance course, and then I was like, oh, this is cool. I think I like this. I like this. Third year was very testing again, accounting side and finance side. And again, I was like, these are interesting subjects, and I can see what kind of impact they have on the world. And I think maybe that's what really kept me going versus the actual, and people around. Also, sometimes the people you hang out with sort of then rub off on you. There were guys who are still like staunch bankers today, who I guess I'm like, man, I should have not hung out with you, because this is what you've always wanted to do, and I can see you doing it now 6 years later. This is where you are. So it was those people that I guess helped me forget about the fact that one day I wanted to be in IT. Also, I just couldn't figure out a way to do it. And I should have gone to career counselors. I'm like, how do I transition there? How do I end up there? And at the time I couldn't see it. I'm like, man, I'm 3 years in. Let me just finish this degree, and then I'll see. I mean, once I qualify as a CA, I can do whatever the hell I want. And maybe I think that's what I had in my head at the time, is like, as long as I finish this like degree and the route, I can then be flexible enough to somehow find myself back into tech. Okay. Likely didn't take that long. So and that's what kept me going. And it's so great because like, when we then eventually got to start Taxify, it was the craziest thing because I was tested in the most crazy ways, but I was doing what I wanted to do. Right?
In what way were you tested?
So one, we had no office, right? I mean, I'm coming from Citi, McKinsey, and there's no office. It's me and this guy, and I was mostly working from my apartment. Right? Training drivers. I'm now sending codes to drivers to come to my complex, and we are sitting in my lounge and training these guys. And then one of the other Taxify partners at the time had a house also close to where I used to stay in Bryanston. And he had a bigger house, so then drivers were also just coming there, parking in the driveway, training them, and I'm like, man,
what about risk?
Now I'm thinking, have I made the right career move? And I took a huge pay cut as well. Like, that's important. I took a huge pay cut, and I was like, wow. And it was cold. It was around winter. It was around this time. It's cold, and the Wi-Fi is always down at this guy's place, and it's just a testing environment. Drivers are like, Linda, why the hell did you leave Uber? Like, now you're selling us this thing. What is this? I'm telling them, guys, keep the faith, keep the faith, keep the faith, keep the faith. My girlfriend at the time also like was a little bit more helpful in that. Okay, chase your dream, try it out.
Yeah.
Right, try it out. Let's see what happens. And I think that also helped me keep going.
Yeah.
I kept going. Look, after 3 months, we got an office. Right,
Wow.
we got an office.
3 months.
3 months.
It takes some start. I mean, fair enough.
3 months.
You guys already established in Europe, but it takes no matter what type of company it is. So long as it's a startup, it takes a bit longer.
Takes
than
a
3
bit
months.
longer.
Yeah.
To be fair, I had once again the networks. Right, I knew they call partners in the industry that had like 30 vehicles. I'm like, hey man, listen, bring your 30 vehicles over, and let's see what comes out of this, right?
Yeah.
You guys can still do your other your other work, but let's please just stay online, because that's how you grow the business. Is that you need to have drivers available, right? So my biggest mission for those first 3 months is I need enough drivers available, so that if one day you see an ad that comes from Taxify and you're like, or Linda tells you, hey Nzuzo, please try this ad, please try it.
Yeah.
Then when the first time you see it, you're at least like, oh, okay, the nearest one is 6 minutes away, but because Linda has asked me to do so, let me try it out.
Yeah.
And literally this is how it started. So I asked a lot of people at McKinsey to use the app. These guys are always on the road, right? So hey, they're like huge users of cabs. So I was like, guys, please, just 6 minutes, 8 minutes before you leave, just request this thing. We've got a lot of drivers in Sandton. Try it out, let me know. You know? And essentially this is how it started to grow. And man, it blew up in ways that I could never, that myself and the CEO could not believe.
And obviously then your pay grew as well.
Yeah. Then my pay grew. Then I think after 5 months, I was now back. I was like, whew, man.
Relief.
I had accumulated so much debt, and just trying to get through every month. Then, I was back, and it got even better.
I want to talk about that because I think it's very important for people to understand that when you start a business, a lot of it depends on the money. Not that money is necessary, but still a lot of it depends on money. On can you pay yourself, let alone can you pay your staff? Can you pay this? How is that like transitioning the debt phase? Like, give the details there.
It was tough. You know what? I think I was lucky, number one, to have been putting away a little bit of money over the years that I was at the different companies.
Yeah.
So that helps. So, we talk about runway, building some runway.
Yeah.
And, somebody said to me, like, hey, man, if you one day want to be in tech, you got to build some runway. Because most probably going from a McKinsey consultant to any startup, like to be paid at that level is a little bit ridiculous. Like, I think you're asking for a bit much for a new startup.
Yeah.
So like find a way, right? To be fair, I mean, and even though I went to the startup and I took a pay cut, they gave me some share options. So I got some equity, which at least was more compensatory in that, like, look, if you work hard enough to grow this, you'll get rewarded in the future. And I think that's how a lot of startups are now solving this problem of, okay, you may not have enough money to get through your monthly expenses. And it's so sad because I think in South Africa that's what blocks a lot of entrepreneurship. They're guys with brilliant minds and ideas, but they're thinking, how do I pay rent? How do I pay for my car?
And that's also part of the building the runway. And I think, how else would you advise people to start if they were to start out? Let's say, the typical professional is in a job, working, and they've got this idea, but they're like, how do I go about doing this? What would you give in terms of advice?
Sure. So I think advice number one, which I already was sort of practicing at the time, is downscale on monthly expenses or move back home, which is not the easiest thing for everybody to do. So I mean, if you can move back home, I say move back home. Being at home is great in a lot of ways because, one, you cut down on lifestyle, right? So you probably go out less, you're a little bit more focused, and there isn't an environment that distracts you. So I mean, I say cut down, and it's okay. I mean, I think if you've worked for 3-4 years and you want to go back home so that you can start a startup, I don't see anything wrong with that. But I know there's certain individuals like, no, I can't do that. Okay, fine. Find a flatmate in a more affordable place. These
Yeah.
are the kind of things you can do. Another thing, cars, right? Like cars are a big problem because obviously a lot of young professionals in Johannesburg need cars to get around, right? So I mean, again, if you're able to sell your car, it's a tough decision to make. But if you're able to sell your car and use there's Uber, there's Taxify, there's all these services that you could use. Borrow the car at home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's it's just a lot of people are afraid to make these leaps.
Yeah.
You gotta do it.
Yeah.
Right. The founder of Taxify, this man used these varsity fees to start the business.
Wow.
He had no funding. His parents said, "Hey, listen, we've got some money. You need to go to university for 4 years." He's like, "Give me all that money and let me start my business."
Wow.
Right? And he did it, and it happened to work out.
Yeah.
So I think if we could start, and if we started building that culture from a younger age, you will already stop accumulating these expenses as soon as you leave varsity. You'll be like, wow, okay, I'm earning enough to pay for a car, but if I were to use cabs every day, how does that cost compare? I mean, if you live in like Morningside and you work on West Street in Sandton, I don't think having a car really makes sense, right? Every day you're spending about $100 on transport.
Yeah.
It's not that bad, right?
Yeah.
And if you have that mindset that one day I'd really love to do this, try keep the debt minimal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But for me, I was lucky. I was driving a Polo, paid it off over about 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So essentially, the only heavy expense for me was where I stayed.
Yeah.
But I stayed with a flatmate. It wasn't that much. So the salary that I got really did help me manage things. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's what's tough and it's what's sad.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's difficult to transition and really pursue your idea because of it.
Okay. So now we've spoken about your path towards Taxify pretty much. I want to understand, when you guys first started out, did you get any funding from any, like your NEFs or your IDCs? How did you guys start out, or did it come straight from the mother company?
Sure. So the initial funding for the Taxify business came from a European source into the European headquartered company.
Okay.
Essentially, what we had how much? We had a 100,000 rand budget to start the first city, which was Johannesburg, right? And that budget gets used for all kinds of things like driver referrals, those first time free rides, 150 rand off your first free ride, those kind of things.
Yeah.
So that's what we had, 100,000 budget in the bank, and essentially this is how a lot of these companies launch different areas.
Okay.
You decide on a budget, and then you go from there, and you decide, okay, if we lose up to this much, we close it, we shut it down, we failed. If we then start generating this much every month, we will keep going.
Yeah.
So essentially, I was in charge of the budget. It was about 100K, and then we went from there, and we managed it month on month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I do want to go into your successes, but first your lessons and your challenges in Taxify. What were the challenging periods that you had to steer?
So I think challenging is working under highly under-resourced conditions.
Yeah.
Right. The laptop I was using was incredibly slow and bad, and there's a lot of data analysis that's needed. But I had to make the decision: is like, do I buy a 30,000 rand laptop versus have this 10K one, but still sort of do the work, but not as ideally fast as I can.
Yeah.
The employees that we had for a very long time through that first year of Taxify in 2016 was we had about 5 employees. Right. As I said, I was the only one who was from a tertiary background. Everybody else was either just like had finished high school or studying towards another degree. So the skills weren't there.
Yeah.
So you're working in this difficult environment. You're working against a huge competitor.
Yeah.
And you're trying to
who's majorly resourced.
Yeah. And you're trying to compete against these people.
Yeah.
To answer your questions, the 3 lessons that I learned is that 1, don't give up when you have a passion and a vision.
Yeah.
Right. So I knew that this was gonna grow.
Yeah.
I knew, and as difficult as it is, it's gonna grow.
Yeah.
So you got, no matter what anybody tells you, I could have gone to 100 friends and they would say, you'll never make it. It won't happen. We've never heard of these people. Uber is just too big. Those kind of things. So try block out all negativity. Yeah. The second one is work with what you have and use it as much as you can. So instead of complaining that, this person is not so good, make them good. Right? Help them become better. Invest some time in doing that. Right? I mean, it took a lot out of my lifestyle, because what it meant is, I used to spend the first few hours of the day trying to, hey, this is how you do this. This is how you do this. This is how you should be doing this. Helping empower these individuals. And that was great. So, build those that are around you. And they build you in turn as well. I learned a lot from my small team at that time. And it helped me become a better individual as well. And a lot more tolerant. And then the third one is, man, recognize milestones no matter how small they are. Right? It's very, very important. Otherwise, you quickly get discouraged. I think what was great about us is that those small wins, we've trained 10 drivers today. This is amazing. This is great. What is the next milestone? Instead of just working every single day and then at the end of the month you review and you realize that you've actually missed your targets, it's better to have been happy along the journey and realize that even though we grew, we didn't grow as much as we want. You're only sad for that one day at the end of the month when you're like, we didn't reach our targets. But in between, life was a little bit better and you're more motivated to wake up and come to work because you felt like you had achieved something. So I think milestone setting is very, very important, and recognizing those achievements as a young team, very, very big. I think those are my 3 big lessons at the beginning of Taxify in the start. 3 big lessons once things got going. 3 very, very big lessons once things going is, one for me is listen to your employees more. Listen to, no matter who they are, what background, listen to them more. Listen to them more and understand their ideas and suggestions, instead of saying, okay, it's been noted, and I think I did that a lot. Oh, I hear you, but okay. I think for me it was like, I hear you, but you'll be fine. And for me, I think I should have taken more active steps towards unpacking what people meant or when they were complaining and all of that. Listen to your employees more. Number 2 for me is find the right talent. And that could make or break a business. Find the right talent. If you get budget to hire or interview or anything like that, find the right people to work with. Spend some time, spend some days, some weeks, bring them to the office, understand them through and through. People are very good at decorating CVs in this day and age. They're very, very good. And people in HR can get misled very quick. And once you hire somebody, it is so difficult to transition them out of the business. It is very, very difficult, especially if you hire somebody permanently. So don't make that mistake. So yes, I would say spend some time understanding new talent and bringing them in. Because I think we lost so much productivity over somebody who we thought was going to come solve a problem, but instead they were making it worse. I'm saying the lights are going out every single day. Okay, for some days I'm able to fix them and put them on, but this person keeps them off even more than when they were coming on. And you're paying them for this. And the third big one for me was have fun, man, at work. Have fun. I got way too stressed and way too obsessed with what I was doing. Some friends would say to me, hey, Linda, if you just switched off your phone, trust me, nobody's going to die at Taxify. Just switch it off. Switch it off, relax, go on holiday. I only went on holiday once throughout my time there. And only once. I only went on holiday once. And even then, I was still on my laptop when I could, squeeze some time in. But when you're like so senior within a business that's like still getting its feet.
It's kind of like you scared like things may fall by the wayside.
Exactly. I mean, have fun and find some time to switch off and reflect. I think I lost many connections with friends and those close to me because of how obsessed I was with this thing. So yeah.
Okay.
Those are my lessons.
Where were the successes at Taxify? At which point did you reach those specific milestones you say you should recognize, and what did it feel like?
Oh, man, one felt amazing because I could prove everybody else wrong.
Yeah.
Especially those at the company I used to work for, thinking, nothing's gonna happen. So it was really great when so I think we had these emails that everybody has come to know me for, these emails that sign off as Linda from Taxify.
Yeah. I know those.
Yeah. And people never used to open them. Like, I can tell when people like open them or don't open them.
Yeah.
Anyway, people were opening these emails, right?
Yeah.
We were sending so many, and we're like, wow, our customers are not taking us seriously. Someone would sign up with the app and then not use it, and then you'd always get an email from Linda from Taxify saying, "Hi Nzuzo, we really miss you. You've downloaded the app and we've worked so hard to bring it to South Africa.
Yeah.
Please, try us again." And there was just a month, man, August, September, somewhere there, where people were now reading the emails, they were signing up, they were using the app. And as that kept happening, drivers came through. So all these targets, it was the first time I'd met targets in the 4 months I'd been there.
Yeah.
All these targets that I'd set, and it was the first time I met them. And it was absolutely incredible, and the whole team celebrated, and it was great.
Sure.
Right? Because can I tell you what was great about that is that's when I could start focusing on building the culture at Taxify.
Yeah.
Because there was none, to be honest.
Okay.
For me, it was, guys, come to work. If we leave at 12:01, it's fine.
Yeah.
Let's wake up again and keep going.
Yeah.
Once all of those successes started coming, social media started recognizing us some more. They were doing price comparisons between Taxify and Uber. They're like, wow, guys, look, Taxify is actually cheaper.
Yeah.
Try these guys out.
Yeah.
People started using it. I then also felt more confident to tell my friends about it. Guys, we've worked very hard to get it here. Try. And it was just so great to see people coming through, right?
Yeah.
So the one thing for me, one big milestone that was, we were hitting ride growth targets, and we were hitting driver growth targets, which is amazing. Second big milestone is that we were growing as a business. So more employees were coming to us and were actually hearing about us and wanting to be part of our team, which was great.
Yeah.
And then what is the third milestone for me? Oh yeah, one big milestone for me is I eventually got to meet the CEO. This whole time, I only interacted with this guy over Skype.
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, you guys, you've done some great work. Come over to the head office. Let's have like a chat in person.
Yeah.
And I flew up to Estonia and spent some 3 weeks or 4, I don't know, I spent some time there.
Yeah.
And that was great, man.
Yeah.
This guy who I'm chatting to every day via like Skype or our internal work platforms.
Yeah.
I'm meeting him, I'm hearing his vision. He's believing it. It's so great when you meet people from around the world that believe in Africa and its growth.
Yeah.
He was a strong believer about Africa, and that's when we then started to expand to Kenya, Nigeria, and all these other African countries, and it was just fantastic, man. It was it was a really, really, really cool journey.
Sure. Wow. So now tell me something. What has been the biggest challenge for you that you have faced that has helped shape your thinking in your career?
Okay.
When I say challenge, I'm talking in any sphere of your life, whether it be personal, if you don't mind sharing that, what has that been?
I think for me it's disappointment.
Yeah.
It's disappointment for me. I don't want to be a cynic and say people will always disappoint you, but there was a time I felt that way. That people will disappoint you. I felt that career-wise, I've been disappointed quite a lot of times by my seniors, which has then caused me to make these career moves. Disappointed personally, as well as I'm sure everybody goes through, and disappointed by people who you trust the most, like people who you've brought along the journey with you, and then really disappoint you. These are like very deep and personal experiences which I can't really talk about. What they taught me is instead of regretting what you've done for somebody or what you've done to be there, I think more appreciate the journey that you've been through. Right. And use that to understand how do you use those lessons, those positive lessons, to sort of prevent anything like this happening again. And the only way to do this is to keep learning. So disappointment is still gonna come my way, but it's okay now. When it hits me, I'm like, okay, cool, you disappointed me. This is what I learned amongst what we went through, and this is how I'll use it going forward. So that's the biggest challenge, man. Disappointment. When I think things are going well and I'm like, I've worked so hard and things like I get disappointed. And I'm sure myself I've disappointed people as well, right? It happens, but I can't handle it as well as it sets me back. It takes me 10 steps back when I face it. And in startups you will face disappointment all the time, right?
Sure.
You will all the time. There's a different problem every single day. You think you solved it and then no. So that's one. And the challenge of failing. I failed a lot, man. You know,
wow.
I've failed. You know,
and this is where you find success.
And this is where you find success. A lot of people will come to me and be like, Linda, you've been doing so well in your career. I'm like, man,
if only you knew.
If only you knew. There's
Yeah.
lots of failure on this journey, lots more than there is. I think the successes are big when they come.
Yeah.
But man, there's lots of failure. I've failed many times. I think I've failed at work. I've failed personally. I've failed. And you learn to overcome these failures and then do better. Probably what drives most people, man. I don't know, you fail and maybe some go into depression, you know, likely enough. I don't think I've gone through that path, but you know, you fail and you learn. How do you prevent yourself from doing this again? And you know, the worst is when you say, okay, now I know how not to fail like that again, and then when you fail the exact same way, it knocks you again, right? But again, failure can be positive. If you take the positive side from failure, it helps you rise above
everything.
It really does. And it's I you know, I've now come to learn that it's life. Hey man, I don't care who you are, you will fail. You will try your best not to, but you will fail, which is why you can't take it as this is such a huge setback. It's like, shit, okay, I failed.
How do I move forward?
How do I keep it moving?
Okay. So now, do you have any mentors?
I do have a few mentors, which I prefer not to mention because I've been in previous interviews, and then as soon as they hear this, they're like, you mentoring Linda, what about me, kind of thing. I've got 2 mentors. I'm working with one right now.
Okay.
On this project that I speak of. He's fantastic. I met him when I was at McKinsey. Naturally, we were on a project for their company, and we've been keeping in touch. And you know, through my travels, we just bump into each other at the slow lounges at the airport, funny places, you know, restaurants, and we keep in touch. Mentors have played a really cool part of my life because my relationship with my mentors is not like I call you every week or every month. It's more of a check-in and more of a checkpoint in life. Oh, Linda, last time we spoke, these are the things that we spoke about, you know, how it's more like a replay and a rewind. You know, you don't get to do that a lot sometimes, unless you're catching up with an old friend and all of that. But in your career, it's good to see somebody after 2-3 months and sit down and be like, this is what's happening. And they have an outside view and say, and they'll say, hey man, okay, interesting. I mean, remember when we last spoke, this is how you wanted to solve this problem. Did you forget that? Or has something else popped up that has made you decide to do this differently? So perspective is what I find in my mentors. That's the one big thing that I enjoy. And then again, opportunity, right? These mentors are quite senior, so they know so many people in industry, and whenever I say, hey, this is what's happening, they're very happy to refer and say, I know this guy. You know, I've known him for some years. We've been speaking. This is what's happening.
Check him out.
My one mentor is in my industry, so he's in tech. He's quite prominent in the tech industry and has been doing a lot of work in the environment. So he's good in that way. The other one is actually in psychology, so completely different.
Wow.
Got nothing to do with. We have completely different lives and careers. But we just gel very great as people.
And I think that's the most important thing, is for you to be able to just gel with that person.
Exactly.
And that's part of the relationship.
And you know, I never used to believe in mentors, to be honest. I never ever had a mentor till maybe 4 years ago. Both of these people I met around like 4 years ago. And people always used to say, find a mentor, find a mentor. But man, how do you find a mentor? You can't just call up somebody and be like, hey man, can you be my mentor? You may find that even though in their successes, you're like, no, this is probably my mentor. Like, I would think, like, if I were to think randomly right now, I would think, I don't know, Mark Zuckerberg would be a great mentor for me.
Yeah,
but you may find if I actually meet that guy and we sit down and be like, actually, dog, you're quite boring. You've done this wonderful stuff in tech and whatever, but actually, so career-wise, yeah, we're common, but I don't think I'll go out of my way to meet you again. Right? And that's the craziest thing. You will think that, like, yeah, this person's doing the same things I want to do and achieve, surely. And I used to approach it that way. I'd approach people at work and be like, I like what you're doing. And then the first chat is pretty cool because then you're learning so much about each other in a short space of time. But then I'm thinking, man, if I sat with you on an airplane, a 10-hour flight to the UK, like, I don't know what we'd talk about besides what we've talked about now. So what's great about these guys is that it was a very natural, like, progression of how we got to, what's this name? Speak to each other. And it's been fantastic. I'm very lucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, what is your key takeaway from your career thus far? The one that sets it apart from everything.
I don't know. I mean,
the reason why
questions are so difficult.
But the reason why I'm asking this is because, like, it's very important. This show is based on unlocking the chains in the mind. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I had said to you, it's very important for people to understand the journey and to understand the thinking behind the journey rather than what the accomplishments have been. And that's what you've detailed. So that's why I'm asking, what has been the key takeaway?
For me, if I had to summarize it, build your networks, keep them close, and keep on hustling.
Okay.
I think that is more or less how my journey has been. Right? My networks, the hustling, and just catching up with people. Right? Yeah.
Okay. So, what can't you live without? Anything that you just can't live without.
Can I list a bunch of stuff?
Yeah, you can list a bunch of stuff.
Can't live without it. Money.
That's an obvious one.
What else? Technology, man. By that I mean PlayStations, Netflix, DSTV, iPhones, Samsungs, gadgets, man. I love gadgets. Cannot live without them.
Okay. What defines entrepreneurship for you?
Passion, commitment, and tenacity. Is tenacity the word? I mean, I'm thinking somebody who can endure a lot of failures. What would be the right word for that?
Tenacity.
A tenacious person.
Okay. What's your 10-year plan?
What's my 10-year plan? I would one day, my 10-year plan. I one day want to be part of a venture capital fund.
Okay.
My own. Helping other entrepreneurs in tech specifically grow their businesses. It would be my dream to run an incubator where guys come over, we give them office space, all the resources that they need, contacts, business cards, whatever it be. I say, hey, go do your thing. That will be like, if I can get to that, man, all of this would have been worth it.
Okay. Who's your celeb crush?
My girlfriend's gonna kill me. It's Nicole Nyaba. She's not necessarily a celeb, but that's who it is.
Is it?
Yeah. Do you know who that is?
No, I don't know.
You don't? Oh, okay. Let me name somebody who's more. My celeb crush is Bonang, right? Mostly because she's built so much. Right, I think she's hustled, man. I mean, hard. I think of how many people. I think of people in that industry, and men and women. For me, Bonang is like the media personality of South Africa, in my opinion. I just can't think of people who have just hustled and are continually pushing themselves like she is. So when I see her, I love hardworking women who are doing well, and I think she's killing it.
Okay. And what's your favorite show and why?
My favorite show is Billions.
Hey, put it there. Put it there.
Currently, no, wait. Let me rephrase that question. You better put this in. My favorite show, like of all time, is definitely Game of Thrones.
Put it there again. You see,
Game of Thrones is great because it's a story of power and deception and everything. It's got everything for everyone, I think.
Exactly, and it's so different. It's structured differently.
Yeah.
It's not the typical, the protagonist is just there throughout. Like,
Exactly.
you don't know who's going to be the lead.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, when you first watched the first season, you never thought Jon Snow was going to be like the main talk of Game of Thrones. 6 years later. I also think it's a brilliant show because all of this whole world exists in one guy's mind. So George R.R. Martin, that guy is absolutely incredible. We argue about characters that he's made up here. They all the answers are in his head.
Sure.
But people have all these theories and crazy amounts of, But right now, a show that I find stimulating, like Game of Thrones, I can't really apply to life. I mean, billions. Monday comes, I sit there, put my phone in flight mode, and there's just some really, really, I think there's some cool lessons in there.
Yeah.
And anyway, so right now, Billions, brilliant show.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Linda, thanks so much for coming through, man.
Cool.
Appreciate the lessons learned and just the information you've given me.
No, thanks. So this is really awesome. It's great to be here. It's always cool, again, to tell my story. Sometimes I don't realize how crazy and it just seems like I've been going through my life and this is what I'm doing now. But thank you so much. It's really good to be here.
No, thanks, man.
Cool.
Sure.